Okay, let's get started. We're at about 2 minutes past five. So if anyone joins a little bit later on, hopefully they'll be able to catch up. So first of all, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining. I have everyone added on mute at the moment. That's just to reduce any interference for anyone so we can all hear clearly. But we'll have some time at the end to take questions. So just kind of take note of anything going through the process. And if anything isn't clear or you want a little bit more information, there'll be some time at the end to ask questions. So thank you so much for joining. My name is Paula and I am part of the onboarding team here at Urban. So my role involves helping massage therapists with their application process all the way through to becoming a new therapist. We've put together this webinar today specifically for massage students to talk a little bit about Urban and about how we work and about how our process works, but also just generic things that are good to know starting out as a massage therapist, getting yourself established. So this is the agenda that we are going to follow today. We'll go through a little bit about who we are and what we do. We'll talk about how to prepare for a career in massage and how we can help and how we work. We'll talk a little bit about staying safe in the new normal. By that, we mean in this pandemic with COVID, what are the things that you need to do to keep yourself safe and how do you still work? We'll also talk about establishing yourself as a therapist and building up that client base. And then to finish off, we have a guest speaker, which is one of our more tenured therapists, Bramilda. She's going to talk about what she does to make a good treatment great. And then, like I said, at the end, we'll wrap up with a series of questions and answers. So just take note of anything that you want a little bit more information on or that isn't clear, and there'll be plenty of time at the end to ask for it. So let's get started. Who are Urban? So for those of you who maybe aren't familiar with us, we are an app and a website that is designed to make it easy for over 1,000 self-employed professionals to earn on their terms. So we connect people in the UK and France for wellness treatments, primarily massage, but also beauty, hair, fitness, physical well-being, and mental well-being. And we do that through a system that allows therapists like you to choose when and where you work, whilst also handling your scheduling and your payments. And essentially, at the end of the day, what we aim for at each turn is to allow you guys to do what you love whilst taking care of the rest and whilst taking care of the chunk of the admin. So that's who we are and what we do. The journey from when we launched up until now has been quite varied. We launched in 2014, just in London as Urban Massage. Our founder, Jack Tang, was at home one day and he was looking for a massage. He found it quite difficult to organize. He found someone, then there was a lot of back and forth between when they could come. And then they did come and he had a conversation with them and realized that high street rates and salon rates for massage therapists aren't great, and most of the treatment cost doesn't go towards the therapist. And that's where the idea was born, that we could set up something that would make it easy for clients and therapists to schedule time for one another, but would also ensure that a therapist got fairly paid and that they got to keep the majority of the booking fee. So that's what we have always aimed for, and that's primarily what our goal still is. Over the following 3 years, up until about 2017, we expanded geographically and we opened up our services in Manchester and Birmingham as well. And we also set up operations in Paris, France. Following on from that, we looked outside of geographical expansion and thought to ourselves, what other services could we offer? And in 2018, we rebranded, and instead of being called Urban Massage, we became known as simply Urban. And we also launched osteopathy, nails, and facials. That went quite well. So in 2019, we launched hair, barbering, lashes, waxing, physiotherapy, personal training, and yoga. And then by 2020, pre the first lockdown, we were carrying out a little over 3,000 bookings every single week in London alone. And after each subsequent lockdown, we have managed to recover to those levels. Obviously, we are in a lockdown right now as well, but we're still operating at about 50%. I'll go through that in a little bit more detail later about the services that are still open. But essentially, that's who we are and that's what we do. So we have interacted with thousands of therapists and thousands of massage students over the years. So we've put together this little presentation for you guys today to give you more information. And we'll start off with how to prepare for a career in massage. So a bit obvious, but the first thing that we would advise is considering your options. And the first option is the type of work that you are going to be looking for once you have qualified. So for example, are you hoping for massage to be your full-time career? Is it something that you want to do, oh, you only want to do this and you want this to be the only form of income that you have? Or do you want it to be something part-time? Is this a career that you're following to support other responsibilities, or to support study, or to support another career? And if so, how many hours a week are you looking to commit? Once you know a little bit about that, then you can look at the different avenues and the different areas of employment that you can follow. So first up, of course, is self-employment. It's always an option to work for yourself. And if you do decide you want to work for yourself and you want to go the self-employment route, do you want to partner with a company like Urban, who takes care of the administration side of things? And I'll go into that in a bit more detail as well. Or do you want to go it alone? And do you have to start thinking about, where you're going to find clients, or where you're going to work, or what kind of hours you're going to do? If you are going the self-employment route, mobile is also a good option. And then other options are brick and mortar businesses, so spas, salons, sports clubs, hospitals. And that really depends on the type of therapist that you want to be. So for example, if you are hoping to become a sports massage therapist, and that is the main aim and the main point of what you want your future career to be, then obviously a spa probably doesn't make sense for you. But if you are more of a holistic therapist, then maybe spas or even hospitals make more sense for you. So have a little think about what you want to do, and why you are pursuing your training in massage at the moment. And then have a think about what kind of career path makes the most sense for you. The next thing I would recommend is getting organized. There's a couple of different things that we have noted here. The first is equipment. So what I would suggest first of all is really thinking about your table. Your table is the big investment that you make at the beginning. It's the one thing that you're going to have with you long term. And I would really advise getting a good quality table. Try not to go for the cheapest one. Try to go for one that maybe your teachers have recommended, or friends that you have in the industry have recommended, and do your research. They can be a little bit pricey, but there are ways around that. You can always get it secondhand. So maybe check with your school. Are they selling any of their leftover tables? In Urban, we have a forum where our therapists can talk to one another, which I'll touch on later. And there's a buy and sell section. So is there a way that you can invest in a good quality table that maybe isn't quite so pricey? Or, there's always payment plans. A lot of companies take Klarna as a payment right now. And that allows you to break payments up into 3 or 4 sections. So just do your research around your table. And I would really advise getting yourself a good quality table, because otherwise a little bit further down the line, you're probably just going to have to replace it. So just do a little bit of research there. If you are going to be going mobile, a table trolley makes your life a lot easier. In this image here, you'll see the little set of wheels underneath the table. That's an aluminium table trolley. Just makes life a lot easier if you're moving around. Even if you are planning on driving to your bookings, you never know kind of whether it's going to be a 2-minute walk or a 5-minute walk, and carrying a table can make that a little bit more difficult. Then you also want to think about things like your oils, your waxes. What is it that works for you? What is it that makes you most comfortable? Think about ones that have tend to be low irritability, so things like rapeseed oil, and think about what can work for you there. Treatment extras is also a good one to think about. If you are going for that real spa-like experience, what are the extras that you can bring in? But I would really advise getting your craft down first before adding in too many different bells and whistles. So it's great to want to have all these different oils that you're mixing, and unless you're offering an aromatherapy treatment, your client isn't going to be expecting that. So really just get the bare bones down first, get your flow, get yourself comfortable, and then once you know what you're doing and know what your treatment is about, you can start looking at extras that you can bring in. One real non-negotiable that I would advise that you can start thinking about is insurance. So therapists with Urban have to be insured. You will obviously have the option, to take maybe private clients once you are fully qualified. but I would really recommend that you are always insured, even if you're seeing a private client or if you're just treating a friend, because you really don't know what will happen. So I would advise ensuring that your insurance policy has public liability and professional indemnity. Public liability is coverage for things like accidents that might happen in a treatment. So maybe your massage table scratches someone's wall, or maybe you spill oil on the floor and there's a stain or something like that, which is actually a lot more common than you might think. Whereas professional indemnity, sometimes called medical malpractice, covers you in the event that you might actually injure someone. So, for example, in maybe you forget to do a consultation and ask about previous injuries and you end up injuring someone further down the line. So it just protects you against things like that. Another thing to start considering right now is membership. So this will, again, going back to what type of career you want to go down, your membership will depend upon the type of therapist that you want to be. So for example, if you also want to focus on the beauty side of things, then maybe an organization like Babtech makes sense to join. Or if you're looking at the sports and rehabilitation route, maybe BASRAT makes a little bit more sense for you. An organization is a really good option for newly qualified therapists. They generally come with an insurance policy, so your membership will also give you annual insurance. So you can almost combine the two, and it doesn't usually cost that much more than insurance. But it's good to have a membership organization behind you. They're a good option for advice and guidance, any legal issues that you might come up against. They usually have discounts for CPD courses, and they keep you appraised of what's going on in the industry. And it always looks good as well to be able to state that you were a member of an official organization like FHT or something like that, because it just gives you a little bit more credence to clients as well. Social media is a really important one in the current climate. It's a way for you to build up your presence and make yourself known. You have the options of Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or of course all three. And that's a good option to let clients know a little bit about you and a little bit about what they can expect from you as a client. It's also a way for you to make yourself a little bit more personable. If you do decide to come on board with Urban, you also have a direct booking link to your specific page. So for example, you could always have your link to your Urban booking page on your Instagram account, your Facebook account, or your Twitter account, and then clients can find you through there as well, even if they just come across you through someone's social media. I would also recommend checking in with your school to see if they have any discounts on further trainings. A lot of the time, particularly if you're doing your level 3, you might get a CPD off the back of that at a discounted rate. And it's always good to be thinking now about future training. So maybe you already know what route you want to go down. But it's always a good time to start thinking about that when you're in the middle of your training. So next up is a little bit more about Urban and about how we can help. So what are the benefits of partnering with Urban? So first up is support 7 days a week. Of course, it's possible to take the self-employment route and go mobile completely by yourself, but you are very much alone. And starting out as a newly qualified therapist, that can be quite daunting. So Urban do have a dedicated customer support team on hand 365 days a year, and they're here to help you with any issues that arise. And maybe that's a booking issue, maybe that's an issue with that week's payments, or if you're having trouble, getting through to a client because you're running late or something like that. And we're basically here every single day to help you out and liaise with your clients if needs be. We also have a community team here at Urban, and that is a department solely dedicated to our therapist community, to making sure that their say is always heard, that we're making sure you guys are kept up to date to what's going on in the industry. During COVID, that's been hugely important to make sure that people are being advised on when they can work, when they can't work, what their options are. We're always sending people out, letters to send to their MPs to make them aware of how they're being impacted by COVID and so on. So the community team is really there to represent you, to make sure you have your say, and to make sure that you are, constantly being kept up to date with what's happening within Urban, but also within the wider industry. We also have a community forum, which can be quite valuable for new therapists because it's effectively a place for you to chat with thousands of other therapists. So you can share advice, you can ask for best practices, and there's, as I mentioned earlier, a section for buying and selling secondhand equipment. So maybe you want a table or you want some new wheels and someone else is selling them. You can liaise with them there and, work out a price and when to pick it up and so on. So it's a really good location for new therapists to chat with some more tenured people. With Urban, flexibility is also one of the main benefits and one of the main things that our therapists cite as convenient for them. Through Urban, there's no minimum or maximum number of hours per week. So you decide on how many hours you're able to commit. And that then gives you the option to, to have other projects going on, or so maybe you have study, or maybe you have family commitments and you can't commit to working a certain number of hours every single week. Or maybe you have another career that's a little bit less dependable and you want to be able to subsidize that. So Urban's there to work with you to allow you to decide how many hours each week you want to commit, if you're even able to commit any at all. It can work quite well for kids as well. So you can obviously have hours in the diary when kids are at school and then not add hours when they're on midterm. So it's quite flexible and it works with you for when you're able to be available. You also choose the areas of the city that you're happy to take bookings in. So for example, you can work locally in the evenings, and then if you're happy to travel a bit further at the weekend when you have a bit more time, you can go into the city centre at the weekend. So it's completely up to you what areas of the city that you work in, and you can balance that around your schedule and where you are as well. So for example, if you're traditionally in another part of the city at the weekend, maybe where your parents are or something like that, you can change it up as well. One of the big benefits to partnering with Urban is the earnings. I mentioned that from day one, one of the reasons that we were founded was the belief that therapists should take home the majority of the treatment costs, and we have stood by that since. So for a 1-hour massage in London, you can earn up to £48. People can also book 90-minute and 2-hour treatments in normal times. At the moment during COVID, they're not able to, but you can earn up to £48 for a 1-hour massage. Like I mentioned, we have a 365 days a year support team as well. So with that comes support for last minute cancellations. So for example, if a client doesn't turn up, you will still receive full payment because we take the payment when they make the booking. So you'll never be in a situation where you turn up at a house, someone isn't there and you don't get paid. Obviously, self-employment, there are overheads. With Urban, you don't have to pay for your own space because the bookings take place in the client's home. So there's no additional overheads there for that, like rent and electricity and things if you were renting your own space, or a lot of the time if you are renting a treatment room with a brand, you have to pay for the space as well. So there's no overheads for that. You keep up to 75% of the treatment costs. So the top 50% of Urban practitioners earn about £911 in a 40-hour week. That obviously varies because there's no minimum maximum number of hours. So it's very much, the more time you make available, the more bookings you get, the more you can earn. If you're only adding 10 hours a week, you'll get less, but generally in a 40-hour week, about £900 is what you can expect. You're also paid weekly, but if you are someone who, from a budgeting perspective, prefers to be paid every 2 weeks, every month, that can be arranged. And you keep 100% of any tips that you receive. So clients can tip you through the app. So if they don't have cash, they can still tip you. And we just process that for you, and you keep 100% of that tip. And then obviously one of the big benefits is that Urban already has thousands of clients that you will have access to as a new therapist. So one of the big things that is quite daunting as a new therapist going down the self-employment route is, where do you find these clients and how do you market yourself as someone who maybe hasn't had many bookings or hasn't had, doesn't have lots of loyal clients yet? That's what Urban is here for. And that is what you keep up to 75% of your treatment costs. That's what the other 25% goes to. It's towards marketing and making sure that our team is constantly pushing for more clients for you and more bookings for you. We do that by running campaigns, running discounts, running promotions, and any discounts or promotions we ever run, you will always still receive your full rate. Those are usually taken out of Urban's cut. And the final benefit that I wanted to touch upon today is technology. So with Urban, you will have an app. So there's some screenshots of it there on the right, which is where you'll add your availability. It's where you'll get paid. It's where you'll, see the reviews your clients have left you. All of that technology is made by us in-house, and it takes care of the scheduling and the payments. So you don't ever have to worry about the administration side of things. You simply head to your booking, treat your client and leave, and then we take care of everything else. Because we make everything ourselves, it's specifically catered towards what would benefit our therapists. We're constantly getting feedback from our pros, asking them what would make their lives easier. A little bit earlier on, I mentioned that you can work in one part of the city during the day and another part of the city during the weekend. That's a new feature that we launched in recent weeks based on feedback. So we're always trying to find ways to make life a little bit easier. And anything that we put together is always tested live first by a group of therapists to see if it actually makes your lives easier. And then we'll get any feedback from them on what might make it a little bit better or what might be a little bit difficult before we launch it to the wider community. So we have a team in-house that's constantly trying to make life a little bit easier and find a way for you to receive more bookings. So how does Urban actually work? How do you get these bookings that I've been talking about, and how do clients come across you? So this is what the app looks like to an Urban client. So if I go onto the website right now, over here on the left, I would select what treatment that I want. So say I select a massage, I would then come into the next section, and I can either book by a treatment, in which case I might select an Urban Classic, which is our signature. Or I might select that I want to book by the therapist, and then I would select the therapist that I want. And either way, once I pick one of those two options, either the Urban Classic or, for example, Rasa, I'll then be brought through to a calendar that lets me know the times that either Rasa is available or all therapists offering that treatment are available. I select the date and time, I pay, and then the booking goes through to the therapist. So how do you as a therapist let us know what dates and times that you're free? So this is the app that you as a therapist would see. So you would go in on your side and pick a date, and then you would select the time slot that you're free. And then if a client books you, a notification comes through to you on the phone, you confirm your booking and you go. And that's essentially it. As I mentioned, we take the payment when the client books. So you'll never be in a situation where you get to a booking and you have to handle the payments, or you get to a booking and someone hasn't turned up, and you miss out on your costs. You just head to your booking and then you can carry out the treatment. So staying safe in the new normal. So this is something I wanted to touch upon to have a little chat about everything going on at the moment with COVID. So first up, Urban during this current lockdown is still operating essential services. So essential services are deemed by the government to be health services to support with issues that cannot be resolved with self-care. So some of those treatments that we are currently offering are osteopathy, physiotherapy, essential sports massage, essential deep tissue, essential pregnancy massage, and essential reflexology, as well as injury and pain management. So we have a triage system going on where a client can book this service, and the therapist then links up with them to make sure that this is an essential treatment and it can't be resolved with self-care, and then the therapist can still go along to that treatment. So being safe at the moment is incredibly important. And again, this is whether you're working with Urban, elsewhere, or for yourself. So just a couple of points that are worth noting. First of all, obvious, but to be flagged as well, is please do not work if you have symptoms or if you live with anyone that has symptoms. That can be expanded to, if you're waiting for a test result, if someone that you live with is waiting for a test result. It's really important to control the spread, but also just for you in terms of you and your own individual brand as a therapist. You don't want to be seen to, be putting people at risk. So that's an important one to flag. PPE. So at the moment, all Urban therapists must wear PPE for all bookings. One of the main things to flag here is that we did not want anyone to be out of pocket for being safe and for making sure that their clients were safe. So whilst PPE is still a requirement, all Urban therapists will receive an extra £1 or £2 per treatment to cover the cost of their PPE. And that's just to make sure that no one is ending up at the end of the week with less money than they would have been, purely on the basis of being safe and looking out for their clients. Increasing the frequency of hand washing and surface cleaning. So during COVID, we really had to go back to basics and really highlight the foundational things that we learn in our courses. Obviously, you always wash your hands before the treatment, but make sure that you're doing the 20 to 30 seconds. Make sure you have a nail brush and you're cleaning under the nails and around the nails. Make sure you are wiping down your surfaces in advance of a treatment. You're cleaning down your table. You are putting either a table cover or couch roll over all of your surfaces. And you're really making sure that everything has been disinfected at the end of the day as well, and then before you start the day again. I mentioned earlier there's a triage system, but do communicate ahead with your clients in advance of a booking. So Urban's customer service team are doing this as well to support. So there are emails going out to clients before booking and after booking to double check that no one has any symptoms or has been in contact with anyone with any symptoms, and we don't need to make the person aware. We're also but then I would also advise just communicating ahead to make sure that a safe working space has been arranged. Maybe that the only person there is the client themselves, and there isn't going to be anyone additional that you're going to interact with on the way. Another piece of advice is to download the NHS QR code and to carry this with you to bookings, and then this way you can be made aware at a later point if you have been in contact with someone that maybe you wouldn't have been made aware of otherwise. And finally, ensure you're keeping consultation forms. So consultation forms really need to be filled out before every booking anyways, because of insurance claims. So if you ever need to submit an insurance claim, the insurance company will ask you for a consultation form. So you really do need to be filling those out anyways, but it's more important now than ever, and just to keep a dated log of the PPE that you're wearing as part of that form as well, just so that everything is up to date. So in this new normal, now is actually a really good time to go mobile. So people's wellness habits have been changing as a result of COVID, how we think, how we act, our interpretation of wellness, and our realization that maybe we were not taking care of ourselves as well as we could have been pre-COVID. So a couple of things that we have noticed. After each lockdown, we have noticed that we were busier than we were before. So at the end of each lockdown, there's a bit of a pent up demand. So there'll be a big spike and then a more gradual recovery as people, get used to being able to access things on a regular basis. So we do have, more bookings coming in after each lockdown. The high street itself is quieter. So previously, a great high street location in a salon or a spa would have been a really big win, but footfall and foot traffic out on the streets is substantially lower, more so in the UK than it is in other European countries right now. So being able to go to your client as opposed to waiting for them to come to you is a big win. And we're also seeing a rise in first-time users. So a lot of clients are trying out mobile for the first time. And, obviously one of the big reasons for that is there has been a big rise in work from home. So people are now no longer, going out to that high street, but they're at home. So they're more inclined to have someone come to them. And then anecdotally, if, thinking about it, it is much easier if you are someone who is concerned about contacts. It's much easier to control your contacts if your therapist comes to you. If you go to a salon or to a spa, you don't know who's been there before you. You don't know how many therapists are going to be there at the time or how many clients might be there at the same time as you. If someone comes to your home, that's one person going to your home, and there's a little bit more control you have over that situation. So we are seeing a little bit of a rise in first-time users trying out mobile, maybe where they wouldn't have before. So the Urban application process. So if Urban is something that you think you might be interested in, the application process is super simple. You go to hero.urban.co and you fill out our online application form. I'll send all these slides to you after this presentation, so don't worry if you don't manage to get that taken down, but it's simply hero.urban.co. And it's a complete online process. So prior to COVID, we would have had everyone come into us to assess on site and meet and set it all up in our office. We've now moved that online, so it's fully remote and it can be completed in a couple of days. And the great thing is obviously that you can do it from the comfort of your own home. You can do it as and when you have time. But it can all be done in a couple of days if you have the motivation to do it and you have everything ready. So during this process, we will check that your qualifications meet our requirements, and also that you can legally partner with us. So that will just be like a right to work check, which is just a UK passport, an EU passport, an EU identity card, and so on. We'll also check for an insurance document and that you have a clear DBS from the last 12 months. If you do not have an insurance policy, please don't allow that to stop you from applying, because we do have an insurance partner that we can link you up with. So you only need your insurance before you start taking clients. So you can apply before you sort that out. You'll also have to upload your certificate. So as massage students, just to make you aware, there is a delay going on right now across all schools with actually getting the certificates once assessments have been completed. So if you do want to partner with us, please don't let not having a certificate delay you. You can ask your school to just write you up a letter that says that you have passed your assessment and say what your qualification is, and we can accept that. All schools will be happy to do it. We've never had anyone have any issue with that. So just bear in mind that that is completely fine if there is any delay with your certificate. We'll also assess your knowledge and skills. So that could be an online questionnaire, that could be a video upload. It varies depending on the particular treatment. Mostly for massage, it's an online questionnaire. One or two will have an additional video requirement, but we'll communicate that with you if it's required. And then if you are all okay, we'll educate you on how Urban works, and we'll make sure that you and your profile are set up to succeed on the platform by creating a profile for you that has all the information about your previous experience and so on. So establishing yourself and building a client base. So this is primarily for working with Urban, but it will also cover, you know, if you want to go another route as well. So it should be relevant for everyone. So first of all, availability. So I would strongly advise that you build towards your ideal schedule. So if, for example, you only want to work, you know, in the mornings before lunchtime on weekdays, you'll really struggle at the beginning if those are the only hours that you have available, because you haven't yet established a regular client base. You haven't got people who are going to refer you to their friends as a great therapist. And then with Urban, for example, you haven't got, you know, your reviews and your number of bookings and your regular clients yet. So what I would suggest is most people are looking for a massage in the evenings and at the weekends, because that's just how the standard UK working week goes, and that's when most people are free. So even if it's not something that you want to do long term, try particularly at the beginning to get yourself set up in the evenings and at the weekend, so that you can build up that regular client base and you can make your profile a little bit more established, so that if a client is looking, you know, in advance during the day, that you stand out a little bit more. Same goes for service areas. This is the areas of the city that you are happy to take bookings in. If you only want to work around where you live, that's a little bit more of a suburban area, that's absolutely fine. But again, I would suggest establishing yourself in a busier, more central area first, because what this will allow you to do is build up those reviews, those ratings, and allow word of mouth to spread a little bit about you and about your treatment style. So it just means that when you are in a suburban area, you stand out more because there are more people in the busier central area. So there are more people looking. And a lot of the time, those areas are a bit more affluent. So people are searching more regularly. So it just means that where you might show up in 5 client searches in a busy city centre area, you might only show up in 1 client search in a more suburban area. So just get yourself working in those busier areas to start out with, particularly in the weekend if you can, and to just get you going a little bit faster. Upskilling. So I mentioned earlier, you know, checking in with your school about what other trainings they offer and maybe if they have any discounts going for existing students. If you are doing your standard level 3 in massage, I would strongly advise that you get a deep tissue CPD as quickly as you can. Deep tissue is our busiest treatment every single day in every single city, across every single month. So it really is the one that will make the biggest difference. You can generally do a deep tissue in 2 days, and you, particularly with Urban, with our treatments rates, you would have it paid off after 5 bookings. So look into a deep tissue, get yourself trained up, because it will get you about 50% more bookings. And then beyond that, there are obviously other treatments that you can look into. You've got sports and you've got pregnancy and so on. And obviously, the more treatments that you offer, the more variety that you will have in your day, and the more client searches that you will show up in. So reviews and recommendations. So on Urban, you have a rating, which is out of 5, and that's based on, you know, an excuse me, a weighted average of what previous clients have rated you. You've also got written reviews, so clients can read what previous clients have written about you. So it kind of goes against, you know, the soul of a massage therapist to ask for a review, because you are all by nature very caring people and very passionate about massage, and you don't do it for a pat on the back, and you don't do it for the praise. But honestly, it can just make a big difference, particularly at the beginning, to ask someone to leave you a rating. And as time goes by and you start to build up your reviews, you won't really have to ask for them as much, because you know, you'll have so many. But really at the beginning, it can make a big difference. And it doesn't have to be a pushy thing. You can simply say to someone on your way out the door, you know, thank them for their custom, and ask them to leave a review if they enjoyed the treatment, and then you can be on your way. It doesn't have to be a pushy thing, but it will make a big difference. Now, how to make a good treatment great. So I am going to hand over to Bramilda. Bramilda is one of Urban's most established therapists. She took her first booking with us in June 2016 and has completed nearly 3,500 bookings, and has built up quite a network of loyal clients, of referral clients. And I'm gonna have her run through what she does to kind of turn a client into a recurring client, into a regular client. So Bramilda, if you want to take yourself off mute, I will hand over to you.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can. Go ahead, Bramilda. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much for the introduction. Hello, everybody. I hope you're all doing well and that you're keeping safe. And if you're studying, I hope that is all going good. So yeah, Urban has been amazing. I've loved being with them for nearly 5 years now. It has changed my life forever, and so I highly recommend it. I just want to go through 5 things that I found over the years that has really made a massive difference to just my impact on the clients, and I think it reflects in the reviews they leave as well. And the first thing would be to just be aware that your energy introduces you before you speak. I know sometimes you're running late, stuff has happened during the day that might have annoyed you, disappointed you, upset you. But it's so important to remember that when you get to the client's house, remember, for them, it might be a birthday treat, it might be something they only do once in a while, but more importantly, it is quite expensive. So if you show up at a client's house and you're all upset and all puzzled or whatever, it's not going to be a great first introduction. Just be aware of how you show up to your clients' houses, you know. And also, like, I know sometimes, you know, things have happened and you feel like you might want to complain about the day or go into reasons why you're late and all that sort of stuff. But just check your energy and know that that sets the tone for the rest of the massage. And the second thing is respect the client's home. So when you enter a client's house, obviously take off your shoes, but also if you have your coats and your scarves and your oils and all that sort of things, just don't leave them all over the client's house. So have like a little designated area where you put all your things, and just respect the client's house and be really tidy and organized when you are there. The third thing is really important, I found, is listen to the clients when they talk about the areas that they want you to concentrate on. I've had this feedback so often where the clients tell me that, oh my gosh, I love that you do the areas that I asked you to concentrate on. So whether a client is like, oh, my lower back is hurting, or my neck, or like my left ankle, spend time on the things the client has specifically booked you for. And I feel like sometimes as massage therapists, so as you continue or grow in your career, you will find other areas of tension in the client's body, and it's areas that they've not specified for you to work on. I would say don't concentrate on that as much, but the point of the massage is for the client to be satisfied and happy after the treatment. And if you neglect the areas that they've asked you to concentrate on, that might not leave a great taste in the mouth. So I will definitely say that. listen to the clients when they speak to you and when they specify areas that they want concentrating on. And the fourth thing is be receptive to the reaction. Yes, be receptive to the reaction to the massage. So so we ask the client, is the pressure okay? Do you want more? Do you want less? All the rest of it. But pay attention to the sensations of the client. You know, if you feel they're cramping up a little bit more, maybe ease up of the pressure. Yeah, so just pay attention to how the client's body is reacting to your massage, because sometimes clients, they also they're very nice. A lot of the clients are very nice. They don't want to offend, or they want to interrupt you while you are massaging. But I feel like as massage therapists, we should be in tune and we should pay attention to the client's bodies and how they react to the massage.
Imelda, I think we've lost you. Have you muted yourself?
Oh, so sorry. The screen went open. I just continue talking.
No problem.
I'm so sorry.
You're fine. It was literally just 2 seconds before. So you were talking wonderfully about you know, being receptive to the client and massage, and you've given some good advice on that point.
Sorry about that. Yes, so be receptive. The clients really appreciate that. They literally think that you are a genie in a bottle when you can pay attention to like the little, you know, the little signs and stuff like that. And the very last thing is give advice or tips after the massage. So yeah, so if you've picked up on something that's particularly tight and you know of stretches that might help the client out with that sort of tension, then definitely do not only tell them, but also demonstrate it for them, you know, either on yourself or take some time to do it with them, like the last 5 minutes. The clients really, really appreciate that. So definitely like just give them some advice. And what we always say is no alcohol, no smoking, and no caffeine, and also, you know, drink loads of water, just so that they feel that they've gotten like a rounded treatment. So it's just a nice way to end the treatment as well, just by giving the clients. I always love to give some stretches, and it's good to also maybe invest in a good The Anatomy of Stretching. I recommend that book by Brad Walker. That's a really, really good book. So you'll always have a stretch for every part of the body to recommend to the client to do. Those are my things that have really helped, and that clients often comment on, saying how they've really appreciated that. And that's what I this is what I use to get all of my repeat clients. And at the moment, like 50% of my clients are repeat clients, which I'm so appreciative of, especially like during this time. So thank you again for everyone for listening, and good luck with the rest of your studies. And I do hope that you join Urban. It's like literally the best company to work for.
Thank you, Brimilda. I feel like even listening to Brimilda talk about her massages is super relaxing. Thank you so much, Brimilda. That was